Fear is ignorant faith. Why does it always seem like the things we're worried about, the things that we're anxious about, the things that we are afraid of seem to materialize? It's because fear is a very, very powerful attractor field, and it's ignorant faith, faith in reverse, but still has the same capability of attracting the very reality that you don't want. And throughout this video, I'm going to explain to you why it doesn't even matter if you're a good person, you do everything right. Spiritually, you're still going to materialize the very reality that you don't want, so long as you have not yet overcome, destroyed, and conquered fear, which is exactly what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. As you can see, our boy Uncle Ruckus over here fell down to his knees because of the fear. He's a good guy. Not Uncle Ruckus, but this guy fell down to his knees. So relax, you're gonna get some.
I don't know if your drawings are getting better or I'm just understanding your drawings better.
I think they're getting better. Somebody was saying that people don't realize the effort I put into these drawings. Real talk.
Nah, you do, to be fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember once I drew a horse and people said it was a comb.
Nah, that horse. That's one thing I'll never understand. Ooh.
Don't leave me, girl. Oh, please stay with me tonight. Oh, baby, oh, baby, oh. Somebody was like, you're 23, how do you know our songs? They're our songs.
Someone also said, what? You're 23 and you've been studying for 8 years, where you're a 15-year-old monk.
15 years old, I remember being in the ends telling the mandem to meditate and telling GMs to meditate, like, guys, meditate. My boys were like,
hey,
yo. Anyways, all right, cool. Focus, no more now. Lock in. So, fear, as I said, is ignorance. And it's ignorance for one thing, because you've made a particular mistake, and until you can rectify this mistake, you're going to continue to keep attracting the worst things because you're seeing reality through the lens of a human. And anytime that you perceive reality through the lens of a human, understanding that humans in and themselves are confined within this third dimensional realm, and this third dimensional realm is the realm of illusion. And because it's the realm of illusion, an illusion is another way of saying something that isn't what it seems to be, in essence a trap, which means that your progress in this third dimensional realm in reference to materializing your desired reality will be trapped. You need to stop seeing reality through the lens of a human and begin to see reality through the lens of the universe, which means that you are above the illusions that reality gives you, and fear is one of them. Now, on an evolutionary level, fear was very, very useful because it's exactly what kept you alive. Fear is quite literally the only reason, from a point of evolutionary psychology, we're kept alive, flight or flight. But when you now step into materializing your desired reality, which is the only point, nigga, you should be in any form of spirituality, because as I always say, spirituality without the ability to control your reality is nothing but vanity. So, and also make sure you take notes and leave them down in the description as always. But going to my point, fear is no longer useful to you unless you're trying to survive. And the aim isn't to live life by the default, is to live life by design. And the only way you can do that is by transcending the default, which is survival, which is you elevating outside of fear, because that's what's got you right now, and it will continue to mess you up so long as you are there. Now, to the point of what I was saying here, fear is the biggest indication that somebody is trapped within this third dimensional realm illusion, one illusion in particular, and that's polarity. And the reason for that, I shall explain right here. You have bought a very, very dangerous lie. And that dangerous lie is the idea in two powers. You've bought into the lie of God and the devil, good and evil. And whether you realize this or not, this is the source of exactly why you adhere to fear, and fear then adheres to creating you the absolute worst scenarios possible. And let me show you what I mean. Have a baby, mommy, baby, be a millionaire. I don't play no games, so when I'm in that thing. All right, cool. Like I said, you bought into a particular lie. That is the idea of good and bad. Well, specifically good or the devil. This is the whole reason of fear. Fear can be us categorizing things that worry us, things that the idea of fear in of itself is always rooted in the idea of something going wrong. or something going left, whatever you want to conceptualize it as. This is the base premise, and you have to understand that this is born out of the idea of this particular idea of God, which is considered good, and devil, which is considered bad. But this is a lie in of itself. And let me explain what I mean by that. You make the mistake in believing that things can go wrong. You make the mistake in believing things can go left. And it's because you have not transcended polarity, and polarity is an illusion. And in order for you to materialize your desired reality, you need to transcend illusions, which means you need to go above polarity. And what I mean by this is this. So oftentimes most religious systems have the idea of a devil and there being a God, but only God exists. Pay attention to what I'm saying. And this is said esoterically in Romans 13:1. Romans 13:1. It says God is the only authority throughout the world and throughout the universe, so on and so forth. And it's because there's only one power, one authority, but we have been sold the idea of the devil, so we think there's something to be afraid of. Things can go bad, things can go wrong, so on and so forth. But let me explain to you why God, right? And the typical religious rhetoric is the idea that, oh, God has to have an opposite, right? Right? No. And let me explain why. God, and when we say God, I mean this outside of the personification, the anthropomorphization that we've given to God in our ability to try confine God. We have attempted, and this is the funny thing, a God defined is a God confined. That's a bar, write that down. Anytime that we try to define God or conceptualize God, we're doing that from our finite minds. And we can't do that because God is infinite, which means if I was just to say God in this instance as the infinite intelligence, or in other traditions is characterized as the all, you have to understand that God is above illusion. Above illusion. And polarity is what? An illusion. Which means if God is above illusion and polarity is nothing more than a fancy way of saying duality. Duality is nothing more than a fancy way of saying things are split into two. That's all polarity is. It's the energetic pairs of opposites that things come in. Energetic opposites, masculine, feminine, happy, sad, rich, poor, negative, positive, good, bad, yin, yang, energetic pairs of opposites. But God doesn't adhere to that because God is above illusions, considering that God is the infinite, which means he's not confined by the illusions. Now, if God is above illusions, and this illusion in particular is polarity, that means God is above polarity, which means God is above the idea of being split into two. So it is not possible that God can have an opposite. It's a lie. There is no opposites, which means the devil in the religious rhetoric of God has to have an opposite, right? No, God doesn't, because God is above illusions. The only things that have opposites are things that are trapped within the confinement of this third dimensional realm. God being above this third dimensional realm means that God is not confined to having an opposite, which means the idea of the devil doesn't exist. And I'm sure I made a video about this, innit? The Antichrist video, something like that. Yeah, we did.
What,
yeah.
One of the first videos?
Yeah, one of the first videos. Yeah. And in that video, I probably explained that in more depth. But just so you understand right now, this particular ideology that you've bought into things going wrong stems from the idea of this inherent adversity in the universe that wants things to go wrong for you, that wants things to go bad for you. I swear, I love my grandma with all my heart. Anytime something goes wrong, and she's Jehovah's Witness, so anytime something goes wrong, she's going to be like, oh, it's the devil, each and every single time. And this is a microcosm of a macrocosm in terms of how society perceives things inherently. The only reason we buy into the idea of being worried about things or things going wrong is from this inherent idea that there's two powers in the universe, left or right, good or bad. No, there's one power in the universe, and that one power in the universe exists so long as we are elevated outside of this third dimensional realm in terms of our level of consciousness, which is exactly how you should be moving. You should be thinking fourth dimensionally, and all I mean by that is that you should be thinking above the constraint of space-time in terms of how you're perceiving your desired reality. So whereas most niggas would say, oh, I know one day I'm going to make it. No, you need to understand that time is nothing more than an illusion on this third dimensional realm. And in order for you to elevate outside, that's the only way you're going to materialize your desired reality. So you should be seeing that reality as something that already exists. And this all comes back to my definition of manifestation that took me a very long time to get to this. And this is manifestation is internally shifting to a degree to which you are no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. So now that you understand, and as I said, you'll see demonstration of the scripture in Romans 13:1. The idea that God is the only authority in the universe, and in fact there is no devil. Because now once you start to see that, then you step into the true idea of, and what is being shown in quantum physics, which is everything being a particular degree of oneness. And this is even mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita at the start when Arjuna is relying on Krishna for consult. And, you know, they're talking, Krishna says a whole bunch of deep things. If you haven't read the Bhagavad Gita, then make sure you go do that. But one thing that he says in particular, Krishna, which is exactly a testament to what I'm describing here, is the idea that he says something to the effect of, he says something to paraphrase. He says, those wise are those who are the same in pleasure and in pain. The same in pleasure and in pain, which means you have transcended the idea of duality in of itself, and you are one each and every single time, no matter the particular circumstance of reality. That's what Krishna says, which is a testament to the idea of what I'm saying right now. The idea that things can go wrong, the idea that things can sway you, is only coming from this idea that things could ever go left. And it has this guy at the origin without understanding that this is nothing more than a metaphysical, esoteric representation of a particular duality that is within you. But once you transcend that duality, you step into the one knowing thing, which is the idea that nothing can go wrong, which pay very close attention to what I'm about to say.
Someone said every time you say Uncle Ruckus, you need to say no relation like the white reporters in Bingo.
No relations. He even says it himself. He goes, Uncle Ruckus, no relations. Which is crazy because he's really got a whole family.
By the way, guys, I finished watching Hunter x Hunter. And I have to say,
be honest, don't violate.
It started off very well. It got dry during the middle. The Chimera ants, they were okay.
I told you that ant art would get serious. I told you that ant art would get good.
But the ending was so underwhelming.
What do you think about his dad? Niggas got the worst dad.
Like, bro, like Gon is such a good kid that even though his dad was a piece of shit, he still loves him.
His dad is the definition of deadbeat.
Like, bro made him climb the tree and said, you took long to get here. I was gonna leave. I was like, what?
He's a funny guy. Now, once you've come to the understanding that there aren't two powers in the universe, there aren't two paths in the universe, there's only one path. This is what I want you to keep in mind anytime reality is showing you a particular degree of resistance. And this is the true definition of being high frequency. High frequency isn't about eating fucking acai bowls and wearing baggy clothes that let your balls hang and whatever other these spiritual niggas try to tell you it's about. It's not about those things. It's not about particularly what you eat. You have to understand what frequency is. Frequency is an energetic signature that expresses itself in our human lives as a particular degree of awareness. So your frequency is your awareness. It's the lens through which you see reality. Hence why if you're on a different frequency to somebody, you don't see the same thing. Remember, one planet, 8 billion worlds, because there's 8 billion frequencies. So to be in a high frequency is to have a high level of awareness, which means to see reality from your God's eye instead of your human eyes. Understand this anytime reality is showing you a particular degree of resistance. And don't worry, I'm gonna show you why. You niggas think, oh, if I be a good person, then things are gonna go right. No, fear doesn't give a fuck about nothing. And Scarecrow said this in Batman. He said, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. Now, niggas say that one of the presidents of America said that. I think it was Roosevelt. I think it was Scarecrow, mate. But I'm playing. This is an idea that you need to keep maintained whenever reality seems to be taking you down a particular path that would make you think otherwise. All paths lead to one place, and that place is DR. Not the Dominican Republic for the horny niggas, your desired reality. All paths lead to one place, regardless of what reality is showing you. You feed into the idea that when something goes wrong or you're getting some resistance that things are going wrong or things are going left, you have to understand you won't go left until you believe that you're going left, due to the fact that there are no truths in reality other than what the subconscious mind accepts as true. You make the laws of your reality. And when you step into the understanding that something is going wrong, you then actually create a wrong without realizing that you going off the path isn't you going down the wrong path. It's just a detour to take you to the same destination, so long as you maintain that within your consciousness. That's to borrow that down. Now, like I told you, listen, God's most loyal servant in the Bible, he got cooked. He got cooked, absolutely cooked. Regardless, all because of fear. And I'm gonna break down this story to you so you can understand the true esoteric nature. Because when I was young and I was reading the Bible, this story kind of pissed me off because I couldn't understand and conceptualize why God's most loyal servant went through all the shit that I'm about to tell you that he went through. Regardless of being God's most loyal servant, guy got cooked. But it will make sense esoterically. Now, just to reiterate, esoteric comes from the Greek etymological origins of the word esoterikos, which simply means the inner circle, the inner information. If you see like this, there's an inner circle and then there's an outer circle. The inner circle pertains to the esoteric, which means the information. Awesome. I definitely spelled that wrong, but hey, who cares? You get it, esoteric. Yeah, there you go, timed it. And then the outer circle is exoteric, which comes from the etymological origins of the Greek word exoterikos, which is almost like exoskeleton. It's the outside. And you have to understand what we're about to do is break down the esoteric explanation to this story, which you might not have heard before. Now, God had a loyal servant who was a wealthy man, Job. Job was a lovely, lovely man. He had a family, a wealthy man, one of God's most loyal servants. He's described as God-fearing, shunning from evil. He was a quote-unquote good person. He'd done everything that you're actually supposed to do from a point of worshiping God back in those times in particular. Now, the thing about Job is this. One day, and this story pissed me off when I was Christian, especially. The devil and God decided to have a bet. The devil's like, I can turn your man's. Pause. Eesh. Sounded a bit mad. That sounded a bit mad. God and the devil were having a bet about Job's loyalty. The devil said, I can get him to fold. I can get him to fold. And God's like, nah, not my guy, not my guy. So they entered a bet. They quite literally entered a bet to terrorize this guy's life. And this isn't me reading it in a, unfavorable way. This is quite literally what it was. It was a bet, right? God even says, you incited me to destroy Job even though, he hadn't done anything to me. And it's because we're not understanding what God is. You have to understand that God is the most high level of consciousness that resides within you. Align that with Acts 10:34. God is no respecter of persons. So even though Job was worshiping God in the way God wanted to be worshipped, a wealthy man taking care of his community, he still got fucked. Now, let me explain to you what happened. His wife got killed. His children were killed. I believe he had 7 children, I believe. But either way, his wife got killed, his children got killed, his livestock got killed. He was hit with boils, like on his skin, quite literally. All for a bet between God and the devil. All for a bet. And it's not until that you come across a particular passage, and that is Job 3:25, that Job actually characterizes exactly why, despite being a quote-unquote good person, and this is what you niggas need to get out your head. You need to take it out your head that God, rewards, good people in this particular idea of karma. Unfortunately, reality doesn't hold to that, because if a beautiful, amazing baby found itself on top of a building, it would meet the same fate as the most evil nigga you know. If you stuck a fork into a socket, electricity isn't going to do a CRB and a credit check before it shocks you or decides to let you go or not. You have to understand the energy of God, the impersonal energy of God, and this is spoken about in Isaiah 45:7, right? I make the peace, I make the calamity, suffering, calm. I, the Lord, do all these things. I, the law of consciousness, which is the idea that there are no truths in reality other than what your subconscious mind accepts as true, which is exactly going to do that. Now, despite all of those things, despite action, I need you to understand this, despite all the particular actions that somebody could do to be a good person and do the right things and be a good person in the community, fear ultimately trumps your actions. Each and every single time. Each and every single time. Nigga, if God's most loyal servant was getting cooked because he had fear, what makes you think you're going to be different? And I'm not saying this to be particularly abrasive. I'm saying it so you can come to an understanding that consciousness in of itself is the substance of reality. Your mind, your imagination, consciousness, your frequency, these are the things that arrange your reality. And until you can begin to remove and conquer fear, the fear that you have in your life will be a particular attractor field, because this is what Job said in Job 3:25. He said, "For what I have greatly feared has come upon me." I repeat, for what I have greatly feared has come upon me. And this is the understanding that fear sets a beacon of light in this universe for what you don't want to come and find you. When you're afraid, you're basically saying, come get me. Come get me. Come get me. Don't know why this pen wasn't trying to close. Come get me. That's essentially what you're saying. Regardless of everything that you do. So all the meditations that you do, all the affirmations that you do like a psychopath in the mirror, I'm just playing. All the dieting that you do and all the fasting, all these things that we do to elevate our particular degrees of consciousness, to come to a better control in our reality is ultimately trumped by this right here. Each and every single time. I repeat, if God's most loyal servant got fucked because he had fear, what makes you think you're going to be any different? Nothing. For what I have greatly feared has come upon me. And this is a testament to something about fear that quite literally has most of the world trapped in a particular reality to which they don't want to be in. And let me explain what that is. Somebody was like, what kind of push-ups have you been doing, Jesus Christ? You know, guys, people always commenting that I'm getting bigger, like physique-wise, but I don't know, man. I don't see it. I just do what I do.
I'll tell you guys the truth. He does 50 push-ups before we start recording.
He's lying.
30 pull-ups.
My mom's life, he's lying.
Pretty impressive.
Where would I even
30
do pull-ups?
You've got it attached to your door.
Why would I do that? Why would I do that?
Someone did ask for your workout split though.
I have no idea what a workout split is.
Like, what do you train? Do you do...
People accuse me of only training shoulders.
I agree.
Don't just train shoulders. Well, I actually go gym every day. I know there's someone in the comments that's going to be like, you shouldn't do that. Leave me alone.
So what do you train? Push, pull, upper body, lower body? Like... Or you just freestyling out there? Surely not. Surely you don't go to the gym and say, I'm gonna do chest. I feel like doing biceps too. Yeah, I'm gonna do biceps. Then next week it's chest. Chest, I'm gonna do legs as well. Legs and chest. Surely not.
Ed. Fear is faith. And this is exactly why, so long as you have fear, you will begin to experience a particular reality that you're afraid of. You will begin to attract things that you're worried about. You will begin to attract things that make you anxious. And it's quite literally due to the fact that fear is faith. Now we have to understand what faith is outside of this kind of religious idea and what we've been given as to what faith is. And you have to come to the understanding of what faith truly is. And I say this almost all the time. Faith comes from the etymological origins in Latin of the word fides. Fides meant confidence. It was a reference to a particular state of conviction. Two of the most powerful words in manifestation. There is no manifestation without conviction. Confidence is the elixir of manifestation. And you have to understand, confidence and conviction are strength. They're strength in what? Frequency. They emit a particular strong frequency. The stronger that frequency is, the more clear it is. The more clear it is, the more potentiality it has of eventually becoming a reality. That is why faith attracts each and every single time. And this is outside of the religious idea of trusting. There's a lot of niggas that claim to have faith. Niggas will say that they're the child of God, but they act like God's stepchild. It's like, honestly. And you have to come to the understanding that faith isn't trusting, because anytime that we have a particular degree of trust, trust always has the potentiality or the element of doubt. And doubt is ultimately what tends to corrupt and alter the frequency of the reality that you're attempting to materialize. So this is what true faith is. True faith is conviction. Because think about it. The process of manifestation in of itself, outside of my definition of internally shifting to a degree to which you're no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. You can just think about it like this. Manifestation is a mental and emotional equivalent. Whatever your mental and emotional equivalent is, will ultimately be outpictured into the world around you in a one-to-one copy. Now, understanding that, let's look at the emotional side of things. The moment that you're afraid of something, you begin to feel the emotions of fear. You felt an extremely powerful emotion. Emotion is energy emotion. That energy emotion emits an energetic signature. We call that a vibration. A vibration builds momentum. It becomes a frequency. A frequency becomes a reality. So if emotion is the origin point, if it is the beginning point of reality, and it's not your thoughts, and I need you niggas to understand this. This is why niggas will pray in church for prosperity, for success, but they're crying tears of pain and suffering. And ultimately, that is the prayer that is truly heard, because prayer is about mental conviction, but mental conviction is always shadowed by your emotions, ultimately. And you can see this scientifically due to the fact that the Heart Math Institute concluded that there's two electromagnetic fields produced, one of the brain and one of the heart. The one of the heart is 60 to 100 times more powerful than one of the brain. So stop thinking like what all these manifestation people tell you, the idea that it's all about your thoughts, it's all about your thoughts. More often than not, it's about your emotional state. Hence why even though when you try to control your thoughts, they're ultimately overshadowed by your emotion. And this is where it all begins. This is why fear must be conquered. This is why fear must be overcome, because until you do that, and this is why Roosevelt said there's nothing to fear but fear itself, because that is the central point of a lot of the reasons why people are stuck. Because even though you may have good intentions, you may do the work, you may apply for those jobs, you may try to get these clients in your business, you might even want love. But ultimately, all of these things are overshadowed by the frequency of fear, which goes out to attract the very thing that you don't want, because you've already felt it. And because you've already felt it, that indicates to reality that it's already happened. And because you can only have what you already have, but what you have is that feeling of fear, the universe then gives you that. Fear is faith, but just ignorant faith. And it's ignorant on the basis that there's two powers in the universe, but there's not. There's one. Romans 13:1, the understanding that God is above polarity, God is above duality, God is above separation. And because God is above separation, God can't have an opposite. And because God can't have an opposite, there's only one power in the universe. If there's one power in the universe, that means no matter what reality shows you, there's only one particular path that you can go to. And that always leads to your desired reality, even if you may take a detour. Until you then conclude in your head that no, something is going wrong, then you actually create something wrong. Then you actually create a detour, as opposed to, well, not even a detour, a route to a completely different location that doesn't even exist. If you're not going to listen to me, listen to Job. For what I have greatly feared has come upon me. This is why conquering fear is important. Don't worry, relax. You're going to get some. You're going to get it, I promise. Okay. By the way, guys, somebody made a 1-hour video of me wiping the whiteboard. All of you who are under that video, I've seen you all. You're all exiled. All of you. We need to start exiling niggas. We have to. I'm gonna start calling you lot by names. All right, cool. So, and as you guys can see, we got some new pens out here, man. You know, the thicker the better. Pause. Now, we have to understand fear in of itself. Now, I feel like a lot of people have the wrong idea of what it means to overcome fear or conquer fear. And as I said, until you can do that, you're ultimately going to be overshadowed each and every single time. And that reminds me. Cool. So 610. Perfect. Sorry, something just came up. So we have to understand that fear has an energetic polarity. And I'd probably conclude it to be courage. The thing about fear and courage, and this can be extrapolated for all polarities. And yes, I know some of you niggas are like, oh, he said extrapolated. Ha 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 ha. Idiots. I actually don't realize how much I say that word until you guys pointed it out. But anyways, fear and courage is the same energy. The only difference is a particular degree of vibration. If somebody's experiencing fear, and fear and courage are the same energy, the only difference is their rate of vibration, what's the only thing you'd have to change from, well, to move from one side to the other? Vibration. If you can just change your vibration, you'll shift from one side to another. How do I change my vibration, Nero? Relax, you're gonna get some. Vibration is always determined by one word. And remember it because it rhymes, and that's concentration. Concentration or focus. When you're in a state of fear, it is because you are focusing on something that either reflects your fear, resonates with your fear, or implies your fear. Now, I can't tell you what that is. You're going to have to extrapolate it to whatever your fear is. Not everybody watching this is going to have the same fear, but I'm sure you're more than capable intellectually to do that. You're focusing on the aspects of something that
You're jamming.
Oh, you know when you start, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but guys, like in guy groups, man, them when you start in front of man, them, it's you're just getting violated.
Bro, get flamed.
Serious. That's why I had to catch myself out. But anyways, you're focusing on something that reflects, resonates, or implies. And I'll give you some examples that I can think of off the top of my head. So let's say in the context of relationships, right? Let's say you want to attract a particular partner. You're worried about that partner potentially cheating on you, leaving you, so on and so forth, before you've even got with that person to begin with, or while you're with that person. You're focusing on aspects that suggest that there's something to be worried about, things that reflect something to be afraid of, something that resonates with being afraid of, something that implies that you have something to be afraid of. And it's not until you can alter your concentration or your focus to focus on the aspects of your life where there is a particular degree of courage already, will you begin to do that. Now, whether you realize this or not, and this is going to be a process that's going to be quite intricate, so you're going to have to please extrapolate this to you in particular. There's going to be an aspect of your life that you have courage in. We're not all courageous in all aspects of life, some more than others. But I need you to understand that that emotion of courage is something that you can tap into at any given moment, so long as you realize the aspects of your life that you're already courageous in. And this could be as simple as you even having the courage to take a test, because that requires a certain degree of courage. But your mind doesn't write it off like that. Your mind doesn't categorize it like that. And because it doesn't, it can't draw from that frequency. You're going to have to focus on courage. And my definition of the way that I look at courage isn't the absence of fear. It is to act in spite of fear. That's to borrow that down. I don't think it's any particular degree of not feeling fear ever. Because nobody's never not going to feel fear. I just don't think that's the case. But in instances of your life where it is somewhat intertwined with your desired reality, you have to have the ability to not only mentally, but physically and spiritually act regardless of feeling that fear. And the only way you're going to do that is if you can call upon the aspects of your life and remember the aspects of your life that you already have a certain amount of courage in. And it could be the smallest of things, nigga, even crossing a road, which I know sounds funny, but I'm not even trying to be funny, because there's so many different aspects of your life that you exercise courage in that you're not already aware of, but you wouldn't write it off like that because it's normal to you. To even voice your opinion in front of people, even if it's a group of your friends, these are things that requires a certain degree of courage, and you will find that. Now, to really build upon that courage, there's only one path to doing that. Courage is also quite similar to confidence, and confidence can only be built from exchanging it with the currency of self-trust. And the issue is, you don't have a lot of self-trust in yourself because you don't follow your word. This could be as simple as you saying, I'm gonna wake up at 7 tomorrow and I'm gonna do this. It's gonna be oh, I'm going to do this next week. I'm going to get this done. I need to do this. There's certain amount of things that you know you should do, and there's things that you know you shouldn't do. The more you do the things you know you should, the more that you build up self-trust. And then that self-trust can be exchanged as a currency for confidence. That confidence can then be exchanged for the currency of courage, which makes it a lot easier. But if you don't even trust yourself to guide yourself, nigga, then it's just going to be difficult, right? Which is why you have to understand self-mastery is a prerequisite to mastery over reality. And I'm sure I've got a video on this. What's the video called? I think it's something like manifestation muscle or something like that, which I would say is one of the most important videos that I've ever made, right? Because that video actually gives you the foundations on how to actually begin building this, which is very, very important. Now, the final thing.
Wow. Bro, giving that board a good wipe. good wipe.
Somebody was like to me, yo, in a past life, he was defo a cleaner. I said, that's racially motivated. All right, cool. So, two particular scriptures that explain esoterically. Let me use a different color here. Let me use orange. And then my Muslim friends keep saying to me like, yo, can you break down stuff esoterically the way you do with the Bible? Listen, you ain't slick, bro. You niggas ain't slick. You want me to get flamed and smoked by the axe? Nah, not me. You do it. You guys, it's hilarious because they know. They know.
You should do it.
Huh?
You should do it.
Nah, that's not me, man.
Nah, you'll get cooked.
And plus, I haven't read the Quran. I've got the Quran and I read the Quran from time to time, but I haven't read it and I don't know it the same way I do with the Bible, that I could, you know, call things off the top of my head with context, so on and so forth. So, as I said, fear originates from this particular idea, this false idea, this ignorant idea in the belief of two powers. And we have to come to a particular understanding when we're discussing these things, that any time that we are operating from our human selves, we're always going to encounter a particular degree of suffering. In order for you to truly kind of remove fear, in a sense, or in instances where you feel it, you need to operate from God. And the only way that you can do that is through identifying with God. And there's two scriptures in particular that speak about this. And that's Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. Anytime that you're in a particular degree of fear, the first thing that you need to do at the first moment you can is to first enter a particular degree of stillness. This could be through you quite literally sitting down and just closing your eyes and allowing those emotions to particularly settle, right? This could be you laying on your bed, just in calmness. The point being, the only way that you can know God is first if you're still. And anytime that you know God, then you're above illusion, which feeds beautifully into Matthew 19:26, which is, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. To be in a particular state where with God all things are possible, you first have to know God. And the only way you can do that is if you first reach a particular degree of stillness. The thing about fear is that because it's an evolutionary emotion, the moment you feel fear, your adrenaline kicks in, your cortisol levels go up, so on and so forth, and you want to do nothing except move around. You want to do nothing except jitter, because this is evolutionarily how we're wired, right? And I've read lots of books on evolutionary psychology. You should actually do that, because it's actually a study of the quote unquote lower self or the primal self that you need to transcend. But that's a topic for another day. But you first need to kind of move away from the default in what you're supposed to feel in fear and calm yourself down, because the moment that you do that, you then have the capability of knowing God. Be still and know that I am God. And when you know God, all things are possible. Then the moment that you reach that particular degree of stillness, reiterate what I said to you earlier, which is the idea that all paths lead to one place. Things can't go wrong, things can't go left. They can appear to do so, and they won't until you believe that they are. But you will only believe they are so long as you're operating from this and not from this. You need to be above the illusions by transcending duality and understanding that there's one power in this universe, and stepping out of fear, which is nothing more than ignorant faith, which is not the less an attractive field. Despite all the hard work you've been doing, you might be a really good person. It doesn't even matter. Now, conquer, overcome, and destroy fear.